Joining us right now to break down these numbers is economic strategist Dan Varroney. Dan, thanks so much for being here.
Pleasure to be with you.
Of course. So let's talk about these numbers. What's your initial read after seeing that 172,000 jobs were added to the economy? Does it show that the economy remains resilient?
I think it shows that the economy is resilient and growing. I was especially gratified this morning as soon as the numbers were released and they crossed the tape. When you look at not only these numbers, but the upward revisions from the prior 2 months, I think these are extremely positive signs. It's not only that the economy is resilient, the economy, in fact, is growing, is not as growing maybe as robust a pace as we would hope, but it is still growing.
And when you factor in today's upward revisions to the prior months, what does the hiring trend tell us about the strength of the labor market?
Well, actually, when you listen to the manufacturing numbers being up 7,000 jobs, it tells us that the big, beautiful law is, in fact, still helping, that the investments coming in from overseas, the investments being made by especially small and mid-sized businesses are, in fact, really starting to pay off. We're seeing it in the jobs numbers. And now that I talked about small and mid-sized businesses, today we heard from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but on Wednesday, the private sector jobs numbers came out, and I was buoyed. I was thrilled with those numbers because 69% of the 122,000 new jobs created in the private sector came from small and mid-sized businesses. That speaks very much to small businesses' resilience. It also speaks to their ongoing contribution to growing the U.S. economy and growing jobs.
And we saw the ADP numbers. They showed that small businesses did add those 122,000 jobs earlier this week. And of course, this government report's coming in stronger than expected. Do you think businesses are hiring maybe more now because that they're worried labor could become harder to find later on?
So that's a good question, and here's what will validate that. So earlier this week, the JOLTS number, the job opportunities numbers came out. There are more available jobs now than there were in the prior 2 or 3 months. And what that says is, with that many more jobs, I think two things: employers are going to work even harder to hold on to the workers they have. But I think they're starting to not putting a toe in the water, they're putting a foot in the water and increasing their employment pipeline.
With job growth beating expectations and unemployment holding steady, does today's report give the Fed more reasons to keep those rates elevated?
I'll tell you what it does. It gives the Federal Reserve the message, the rationale they need to keep the federal interest rates where they are and not increase them. That's what I think it means. I think right now, in the next 60 to 90 days, we need stability from the Federal Reserve. What these jobs numbers said to me is that we've got a stable jobs market. And because we've got a stable jobs market, there's nothing they need to do at this point.
You, of course, work very closely with small businesses. Looking at Wednesday's numbers and these numbers today, how big of an impact do you think these small businesses are making on the economy, and how much do you think they made up the jobs that are being added?
Well, you can't tell from the Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers. However, you can see them in the ADP numbers clearly. What I will tell you is the fact that 69% of those jobs came from small and mid-sized businesses says that they are continuing to drive the economy. When small businesses are adding jobs, the overall economy is adding jobs. When small businesses are doing well, the overall economy is doing well. Small businesses are continuing to have a substantial impact. The Wednesday numbers, again, I was buoyed, and it tells me that small businesses are going to continue to play a substantial role in growing jobs and in growing our economy.
And, we are seeing that wage growth remains positive. Can small and mid-sized businesses absorb those labor costs?
I think where small and mid-sized businesses are right now is that think of where they are. They operate on a tighter cash regime, and I think that they're going to do what they can to pay wages and to hold on to their employees. But what they really need is they need lower interest rates. I think they will see those interest rates as we get closer to the end of the war in the Middle East, and interest rates, I think, will come down as we get to the end of the year. That'll give them more cash.
And of course, businesses are still navigating tariff uncertainty and those geopolitical risks. How much are those factors influencing hiring and investment decisions despite today's strong labor data?
Interestingly enough, as I looked at the data, let's just put this on the table. Tariffs, in fact, have had a material impact. But what's interesting is that the energy price shock has had the greatest impact. From a tariff perspective, they're at 0.8%. So I think while they're having a material impact, nowhere near the impact of the energy price shock in terms of increasing prices and costs.
And if you're giving business leaders advice after today's report, what would you say is the biggest workforce or hiring adjustment that they should be making?
Well, I think they need to be very aggressive on one, holding on to the employees they have. But I think they need to be really focused on looking at what they're going to need worker wise as they move forward. They don't want to be caught short because if the war in the Middle East ends in the next 60 to 90 days, I think that hiring will become very robust. And I think you need, from a small business perspective, you need to start looking now and not waiting to 60 to 90 days from now. They'll be too late if they wait.
And why is that? Why should these companies hold on to their workers that they have?
Well, because typically, on average, small businesses employ 8 or a few workers. And what small businesses do is they have excellent workers. Everyone serves as 2 or 3. And they're using technology as a force multiplier. So what they want to do is they want to hold on to their best people now. That's mission critical for them because if they do, they're going to maintain their edge as the war in the Middle East ends. And as they're doing that, if they add workers, they'll be even more competitive coming out of the war in the Middle East.
Is there anything else that we didn't touch on today that really stood out to you in the report?
Yeah, and I think from a wage perspective, I mean, I felt good that wages continue to increase. And while they're not mapping exactly to inflation, wages are still up. I think that's also a very good sign. I felt really terrific about the manufacturing jobs being up 7,000. I think the economy is in a very good place from a employment perspective.
Awesome. Dan, thank you so much for your time and your insight here on Live Now from Fox. We always appreciate you.
It's a pleasure.